It happened 37 years ago today, Flight 255 crashing as it took off from Detroit Metro Airport. Now, over the years, we've all done a number of stories regarding the crash, the investigation, and how this really changed lives for so many people here in this area. But there's one particular story that I did that really got a lot of attention, and it involves the lone survivor of that crash. You may remember a little girl named Cecelia Cichan. Well, throughout the course of her life, her family worked to protect her privacy and her identity, as you can imagine. But as an adult, she made the decision to speak out and share part of her story, and she did that in a documentary film. Now, we were contacted by the production company putting that together because they saw reports I did on a 255 anniversary. And the backstory is we traveled to Chicago to meet with that team. It took a while and a lot of logistics, a lot of legal, to figure out how we were providing them with information and they were providing us access and information in the interview with Cecelia. And what I will tell you in the story that you're going to see right now is her in her own words. And the one thing that I heard from so many viewers after the story aired was they were just thankful. So many people in this community felt very connected to her, and they felt like they had a sense of closure, being able to see her grown as an adult and know that she is okay. So here is Cecelia Cichan in her own words.
It's the only photo of Cecelia Cichan ever released to the media. The picture capturing the attention of people around the world, landing on the cover of Life magazine. The 4-year-old girl, the sole survivor of a plane crash at Detroit Metro, a crash that killed a total of 156 people, including Cecelia's mother, her father, and her brother. That little girl has now grown into this woman, and now for the very first time in 25 years, she's talking about the tragedy.
I think about the accident every day.
You'll hear more from Cecelia in a moment and learn why she's speaking out now, speaking out about the crash that changed the course of her own life. August 16, 1987, Northwest Flight 255 takes off from Detroit, headed to Phoenix. Moments after takeoff, the plane, unable to climb, crashes into Middle Belt Road.
Yeah, everybody started running because they seen it was coming down at us.
Rescue crews raced to the scene, parts of the airplane now scattered all over the roadway. Buried in the debris, Cecelia, the little girl who managed to survive. After the crash, her grandfather said it was Cecelia's own mother who helped save her life.
In a short space of time from takeoff to the crash, she had to get out of her seat and put her body around little Celie to shield her from the fire.
Cecelia was rushed to U of M, treated for burns. She received cards, letters, and teddy bears from around the world. In an instant, she became known as the Miracle Child. Everyone wanted to see Cecelia, but her aunt and uncle shielded her from the spotlight, moving her to their home in Alabama, working to help her lead a normal life. Although she has refused to give any media interviews, she certainly hasn't turned her back on those affected by this tragedy. Over the years, she has posted messages on the Northwest Flight 255 online forum, and she's kept in contact with people like John Thied, one of the first firefighters on the scene. He heard a faint moan and followed his instincts.
It got to the point where I thought I was stepping on like a doll or something, making that noise. And I saw a chair, and I just moved the chair. But then I turned my head to the right and I could see an arm.
The arm, Cecelia's. John and his team from the Romulus Fire Department credited with helping to save the little girl's life. Years later, Cecelia tracked John down. They developed a special friendship. John was able to help her put the pieces of the tragedy together.
I think she wanted to know more about her family. I think, maybe how they were found or where they were found and things like that. So, and I remember seeing some of the charts where they were at and how far away they were, and I just, you try to comfort them and saying, most likely everybody, went fast and nobody suffered.
Over the years, John and Cecelia have kept in touch, talking on the phone, and then met again in person on Cecelia's wedding day.
To see her in the wedding, that was the first time I actually laid eyes on her, and to see her come down the aisle is like I came to tears.
So why is Cecelia speaking now? She's decided it's the right time to tell her story because no longer is she the only one. She's one of 14 people, sole survivors, telling their individual stories in a groundbreaking new film.
321 plane crashed.
Kai Dickens is the director of Soul Survivor, the film that helps to tell Cecelia's story.
There's 14 people in the world that have been through this, that can understand the immense amount of media attention that you get afterward, the survivor's guilt, the why questions, the concern for all the victims' families and pleasing them.
The survivors featured come from all different walks of life, yet they share very similar traits.
You don't feel part of the victims' families. You don't feel a part of even your community at large because you're often celebrated in this very confusing way that you don't understand. And in the case of the other soul survivors, none of them have ever talked to each other until this film, so they were even apart from all the other soul survivors. And there's this feeling of deep, loneliness.
The film tells the survivor stories and Cecelia's story, and the life that she has lived would make anyone proud. She graduated from the University of Alabama, earning a psychology degree. She got married. She has a tattoo of a plane on her wrist. It's her special reminder of the crash. She, like most of the survivors, is not afraid to fly, and she also remembers being on the plane before the accident.
She has memories from the day of the plane crash. Every single soul survivor that's in the film remembers being on the plane.
Kai interviewed Cecelia for the film, and these are the clips from that interview Cecelia wanted to share with our viewers here in Detroit.
I feel like this doesn't really count as me going to the media and talking to them, because that, I feel, would be very individual about me.
Instead of being singled out, Cecelia is now part of a community of fellow survivors.
This, Soul Survivor project is more about a group, and that's why I'm willing to get involved and be part of something bigger.
Cecelia suffered burns as a result of the crash. Remember those bandages covering her arms and her legs in the photo taken at the hospital? Those scars are a permanent reminder of what happened that day.
I think about the accident every day. It's kind of hard not to think about it when I look in the mirror. I have visual scars.
Cecelia may have avoided cameras until now, and even though she chose to live her life privately and quietly, I know many of you have kept her family, and the families of all the victims in your thoughts over the years. As a grown woman today, Cecelia teaches us all you can overcome almost any obstacle in life. But it's that picture capturing her alone in the hospital as a child that reminds us all miracles do happen.